Love is not a lifeboat that rescues us from everything. It is the deep water we're willing to step into with someone we trust. But trust alone is not enough, because even a good man will arrive at the wrong chapter of your life. You see, love needs more than butterflying. It needs wisdom. It needs alignment. It needs purpose. Because love without timing can feel like lighting shining on a seed buried in the wrong soil. Being treated well is good, but it's not enough. You don't just need someone who makes you feel good today. You need someone who makes sense of your future. Because love doesn't cancel reality, it just gives you a partner to face it with. If the love is right, but the timing, maturity, or purpose is wrong, the relationship will cost you more than it gives behind the scenes. Hello my lovely people, hello my delicious. You are welcome again to another exciting episode of season 1 of Hello Delhi, the show where your anonymous exceptional cases meets timeless counseling from your intentional counselor, Delhi Singer. Be rest assured that your privacy is a priority and of utmost importance to us, because we are big on confidentiality. Hopefully you find a healing, comfort and answers that you seek. We'll be right back.
Hello, 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 audience, Delhi. Hello, hello, tune in now, no delay, no delay, no delay. Hello, Delhi.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Just about that time for us to delve into our exceptional case for today, where this young, amazing woman is trying to seek solutions and answers to the many questions that she has. Good evening, Mommy Delhi. I'm a follower of yours and I always listen to your advice on relationships. Please, I need your advice now. I'm a 22-year-old and a man of 50 wants to get married to me. He has 2 children. The oldest is 23 and the youngest is 18. He has never been married. I've known him for a while and he is really a nice person. He treats me so well. But Mommy, my family won't accept it, saying he is older than me and also from a tribe notorious for premature deaths of young married men. Just so our viewers would understand that we had to deliberately take off the name of the tribe just so we don't jinx the conversation. So she goes further to say, it is alleged that men from this tribe die early and leave their wives as widows. So now I'm just confused about what to tell him. Please hide my ID. Wow, wow, wow. What an interesting, exceptional case there, where a young woman is in her early 20s and at crossroads trying to navigate some serious challenges. Challenges that I would say is really peculiar of her age group. First of all, let me salute your vulnerability and insist on the fact that coming for counseling is a proof of strength and not a show of weakness. I'm equally glad that you came at the right time, because so many of your age groups will come when they have gotten out of themselves and there's no solution. When we come back, we will look closer at everything that makes this case so typical. Understanding this will help us evaluate the situation and make some useful suggestions. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
With MoneyFX, sending money home just got faster. Enjoy top exchange rates, low fees, and transfers that land in under 10 minutes. Whether it's school fees in Cameroon, hospital bills in Nigeria, or family support in Ghana, MoneyFX makes every transfer count. MoneyFX, fast money transfer when it matters most.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Just about that time where we get into the nitty gritties of this case, where we get to break this case down into little bits where you get proper understanding of what it's all about. So yes, we do have a young woman in her early 20s. She's actually 22 years of age, and there's a 50-year-old man who treats her well. I love that bit. Her family is against it. Okay, these are the highlights. His family is notorious for premature deaths, sadly, and to a lesser extent the kids of the man. So we would be dissecting every one of these characters, again, just so you can see a reflection of what your case is and to make an informed choice or decision at the end of the day. Remember, I am only going to use your words that you have given me. Make assumptions at some point, because you're not there to fill in these blank spaces, and of course the other parties are not there to tell me their own side of the story. So let's kickstart with the first person, which is the 50-year-old man. First of all, he is 50, meaning that he is twice or more than twice your age. It is interesting because when you look at that, it feels, do I let my kid sister get into a relationship with a man who is twice her age? I'm a bit concerned there, but then let me go further to say that age could just be a number. I don't want to make it stereotypical to think there's no possibility of having such a relationship. But let's look at the pros and the cons of having a man more than 2 times your age. Yes, because of course there are advantages and disadvantages to it. I'd love for us to look at the pros and the cons of that. Why? Yes, because I do not want to write it off and just say, oh no, he's too old, getting married to you, would be a disservice. I don't want to look at it like that. Let's break it down further. The pros and the cons of getting married to somebody who is much older than yourself. Now, the caring part, these are the pros of it, the caring part of it. Now, there's that zaddy baby kind of relationship where a much older person is pampering a younger person. Yes, of course, just like you alluded, he takes care of you, and he provides everything or most of the things that you would need. That in itself is characteristic of such men who are far older, and so it's an advantage. There is a chance that he is financially stable already. There is a chance that he does not have time to play a game like most young guys would do. So that's a beautiful thing. There is a chance that he is emotionally mature, that he would be supportive to your dreams and all whatnot. There is a high possibility that he is more stable and has a vision and a focus. However, these are just trends, and it could be different based on your personality, and it could be different again based off on the dynamics of your relationship. So there are cons to getting married to somebody who is far older than yourself. This could be health issues, health challenges that will come along with their ages. Of course, arthritis, diabetes, these things are known for men of that age group. Not necessarily, but again, we're looking at both sides so you understand. The chance of them not being as active as you would want maybe somebody of your age group. There's a chance that there are secrets that because they've lived life and had these many experiences, you might not get to know exactly what this person has been through or the things that are in his closet, based off of it's a very wide gap. There's a whole lot of cons. I might leave it to the end, but then I just wanted to throw this open just so we can break this case further and further down. The next thing I would love to talk about is this man has 2 kids. One of his kids is older than you. The other is your age mate. So technically it means you are getting married already as a stepmother to kids that are older than you or your age mates. It means that You are facing motherhood already from the pedestal of a step parent. That is way before you start having your own kids. How sure are you to be able to parent as it is expected of you? How sure are you to be welcomed by this man's kids? It could be tricky. Again, I'm making assumptions because we do not know. So I'm just trying to reflect your choices or your case and break it down as much as possible. These kids have had relationships with their parents, their daddy, their mothers, if they're, of course, different parents, different mothers. You coming on board could spark up controversy. It could cause them to possibly think you're taking the attention of their father away from them. Now, they are still young. Remember, you are young. They are still young. So there's a part of these children that would feel like, who is this intruder? And again, there's a lot of expectations from your part. You just being yourself and having these other friends of yours around. There's a lot of expectations to play the role of a mother, playing the role of friends to these age groups of yours, and playing the role of a wife when you're just starting at 22 could be really tricky. Next thing I love us to talk about as far as this man is concerned, he has been out there. He is 50, so he has lived life. He's had 2 kids. These kids are, of course, adults already. Think about it. He's had the opportunity of having at least a woman in his life to settle with. He's had the opportunity of making at least one of the baby mamas a wife. He's lived life at his own terms. And at this point in time, at 50, he thinks he wants to settle. Why would you think of all these years he could not settle with at least one of these people from his age group? The advantages of picking somebody that would understand you based off of the experiences that you have had about life. But no, guess what? He does not. For some reason that you and I can dissect, maybe later on or as we progress with this case, he comes to a 22-year-old. Guess what? There's a chance he could have gone to a 45 years, 35, not even 25. You are just starting to understand what your 20s would mean. And then this man has come from nowhere and he's asking for you to be his wife. I mean, for the sake of, for the life of us, you are the only woman out there that actually fits this man's profile. You think about that. Let's go further. You said he treats you really nice. Of course, it comes with the territory. And like we already said, men of that age group would be very nice. Because again, there is that big brother, small sister relationship, sort of. However, it could be tricky. When you start seeing a man as old as he is, attracted to somebody that is younger or young enough to be their child, that could be very telling. It could be a sign, again I said could be, so it's conditional. That could be very telling and pointing towards pedophilial tendencies. Why? Because you have every chance, like I said in the previous, that you could possibly choose somebody from your age bracket that would be more understanding and has had the opportunity of understanding life just as much as you have. Again, that's a red flag. We are not conclusive. We're just progressing and trying as much as possible to break it down to its barest minimum, just so you can understand your choices. Let's go to the next important persons on here should be your family. Your family is as important as the word. And like I always say, as far as you are not yet married, your family is about the most important persons you have. Literally, the most people who love you more than any other in the world. They've lived with you, made sacrifices for you. They love you unconditionally. They know your strengths, they know your weaknesses. They still take you regardless. And so if your family is concerned about something, It has nothing to do with maybe being jealous or so. They are actually being protective. But now you might not see that because again, your emotions are already tilted towards this person you want to be with. Understand your family is not in love with this man. Secondly, they are more advanced in age. They would understand what adulthood means and what this man could possibly bring to the table. More like the advantages or the disadvantages or the possibilities of the errors you are about to commit. Now you think about it. You are all as young as you are, because you have feelings already for this guy. There's a chance that you have been distorted, meaning that you cannot be objective enough to analyze this guy. And like I said, your family is not in love, or at least in lust with him, and so they will be objective to properly assess or analyze the situation. Your father is clearly his age mate. If we're going off based on your age, and if we're looking at how when your parents started having kids, if they're not age mates, this man might likely be older than your father. Now you think about that. Men are very protective of especially their daughters. Not just protective because they do not want you to be happy out there, but because they know exactly the games that men could possibly play. Remember, he is a man as well, an adult, so he's looking at that situation and he's thinking the games that he might have been playing around this man's age if he's older, or at least as a man. He's looking at you, you're still very vulnerable, and he's thinking, this is my priceless jewel. How do I let go of this very beautiful gift of mine to some other person that I think has too many question marks? Let's talk about your mother. Your mother, on the other hand, has been your age, done that, most likely had suitors too. Suitors who maybe were like this man, and maybe she even made these errors. So she's not talking to you based off on there's a man who is just older. Let's keep the age aside. She's talking about understanding how vulnerable you are at that stage, knowing how much pressure you could be having, understanding how much of deception could come around that time, and you, with the naivety that you still have, you might not be able to see it. These are people who have loved you, who have taken care of you from childhood to this level. And so when they're speaking to you, they're not just talking based off of the other party. They are being protective of this amazing gift that they have. And so you should look at it from that angle. Next analysis will be on this family that is notorious for premarital. Okay, it's not premarital death, right? It's premature deaths. But again, you said that premarital, why? Because they said they leave their wives as widows, left to mourn them. Young widows, you specified. Now, I'm not one to be stereotypical or to, follow narratives about people or people's families or people's tribes. I'm really not. And I don't want to fuel that narrative because it could be very damaging to a set of people. However, one thing I've learned is there's an ounce of truth to every rumor that goes out there. And before you take this wholesome, understand what I'm trying to say. You come from a family. Some person might have done something from that particular tribe we're talking about. And then the entire clan or tribe or village has to bear the consequences of one person. That's what I'm talking about. There's maybe not smoke without fire. Understand, it must not necessarily be that this fire was existing. The smoke could be coming from elsewhere. But because there are people around there, they would feel that smoke, or you would get that smoke or perceive the smoke from them, not necessarily because they were in the fire, but because some other person has contaminated them with that smoke. So I say this to mean that something could have possibly happened, and that has given a bad name to the entire tribe. So you want to be careful how you run off with some narratives. But let's just say peradventure these rumors are true. I don't know, you don't know, but what if they are true? If they are not, but what if they are? because there could be a chance for that. Let's talk to my beautiful lady. That will be the fourth person we get to address. You are 22 years old and just at your prime. And before I say this, let me make a categorical statement that maybe would come across as maybe too patronizing or a bit too hard. But over time, I've had to say yes or stamp this off with such authority. When there's too much age difference with a man and a woman, for the most part, it has to do with the benefits that we get of this relationship. Let me take that again. When the age gap between a man and a woman is too wide, that relationship, for the most part, is about the benefits or the things we could potentially get from each other. Meaning that it is almost every other thing but love. Now, while I do not, again, stereotype you getting into a relationship for the benefits of it, because I understand that for the most part, every relationship is usually transactional, because you would give something to take something, again, just so that we have that balance. I like to think you should be honest with yourself. At 22, you should have these many young guys around you. You're a beautiful young woman. You are brilliant. You have a bright future ahead of you. I don't want to think this is the only man who is around you telling you about love stories and marriage. There are young guys out there. So getting to start second guessing or trying to look at the possibility of getting married to this man, even out of your family's concern, to me, it speaks volumes. It tells me there's something you are looking after. Now, again, it's an assumption, but for the most part, given the situation at hand, I like to think that there are some factors that would push you towards that. Could it be it's peer pressure? Your friends have blessers, and when we talk about blessers, we know what blessers are, right? There's this zaddy out there who spoils them, takes them out shopping, spends or lavishly on them, and there's a chance you are pushed to that particular lifestyle. There's a chance, again, I'm assuming, and these are questions I'm asking just so that we can get to the root of this. Could it be just that peer pressure? Your friends have this and you might as well get into it. Or maybe some of your friends are already getting married and then you're thinking, how about me do it too? Could it be the situation of your family and you're thinking, maybe this is the man who is coming as a savior to rescue us? Could that be a possibility? Because until you answer these questions honestly and within you, would you be certain that truly this is exactly the road I want to tow? Have you thought of the possibility of cheating on this man? I say this because it is very rampant. When you see a very old man getting married to a young woman, they start off really nice or lovey-dovey, but then the end will justify the means. For the most part, this man has lived his life, and if we go by one of the cons that I did mention, these sicknesses come to play. He doesn't have as much stamina as a younger guy out there. He has a son who is 23 years old, comes to visit all the time. Let me not get too much into all of that, but these are things that could possibly happen. Let's keep the children aside. You are still young in your prime, and like I said, you would attract these many young guys around you. Have you thought of the fact that the temptation of stepping out of your marriage will come, and in no time, when you are 22, by the time you're 30, he is 60. By the time you're 35, he's 65. By the time you're 40, you think about it. By the time you still have this much energy, you need a man to do all of what has to be done for you as a husband. He's so tired and just need the warmth of maybe the fireside. At that time, you're still very active. Your emotions are still there. They're still very much alive. Kids are still young. You still want to play a bit because, hey, you haven't. Not saying you should not get married when you should get married. I'm only saying that there's still some things that life should throw around you. just so that you can make informed decisions based off of the experiences that you have had on your own, and not living off the experiences of somebody who has literally had the time of their lives and maybe just signing out and looking for a companion at that stage to just hold their hands and keep them for the little part of their lives. There's a whole lot to this story, different angles we could touch. But again, when we come back, we would be navigating things that I would say propose solutions to this case. And hopefully, this is the last bus stop, not just to our young, amazing sister, but to the rest of you listening who are navigating or going through similar or the same kind of situation. Do not touch that dial when we come back.
Now that's how our host unpacks this case, layer by layer, character by character, truth by truth. No bias, no drama, just perspective with purpose. Let's lock in on the key angles that stood out. She mapped the conflict between emotions and reality, not just what's felt, but what's missing. She questioned intentions. Is this connection or convenience in disguise? She gave voice to the unspoken fears of family, not just their no, but why it exists. She highlighted the dangers of hasty decisions and their consequences. Now the real tension begins. What's the wise way forward? The solution is coming, and it might just surprise you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Just about that time for us to get into the solution, proposed solutions anyways, for the case that has been presented to us. This time around, I would attempt a solution, but then I would love to do it differently, where I get to talk to the different characters at play. Because other cases, we get to talk to just the anonymous contributor, but this time again, I decide to talk to the parties concerned. And I'll start off with, again, the 50-year-old man and every other 50-year-old man listening to me right now. I know there's always a tendency to want something that is fresher, younger, smoother, and or whatnot. Why? Because, of course, it comes with the playfulness, it comes with the youthfulness. And there's a bit of the younger ones that you would want to see yourself into. More like they turn to give back your youthful age or bring back the youthfulness that you lost. I try to get it from that angle. However, when you're choosing equally, understand that it is not just about what you want now or what you want. It's about what you'll be needing, and especially in the long run. A 22-year-old would admire your financial stability, your stamina, your calm. But being loved is not the same as being understood. And being admired is not the same as being matched. They say love feels easier when life is light. But can she walk with you in purpose, in maturity, the weight of your years? Those are the things you consider. Because sometimes while trying to get somebody that would be companionship enough for you in these later years of your life, it might still be the very thing that would precipitate your death. This could come as hard as it is, but again, I speak to every elderly man who is thinking or maybe thinking of doing the same path. Is she your partner in purpose? Those are the things you should be considering. Can she stand by you? Can she be the helpmeet that you would need? Can she handle the conversations that you would need in the evening of your life? Can she handle the emotional needs of yours when you would, of course, desperately need her? Would she be able to be there when you cannot properly make decisions for yourself? Because like again I said, the things we want would just be highway to a life of endless frustrations. Many men of your age fall for the feeling of being needed while they overlook the reality of growing apart. But remember, love is not always about age. It's about growth. If she cannot grow with you, she will eventually grow away from you. I need you to let that sink. Let's talk again about the second person I'd be talking to in the light of a solution would be the family. I know that especially with the generation that we are in, parenting could be tricky. Parents tend to second guess themselves, especially why a whole lot has changed. The dynamics have changed. Children are rather the ones controlling parents now. And when you stand your grounds to insist on principles and the right parenting styles that you got from your own parents, it is mocked at or seen for the most part as being overly protective. But I always tell youngsters, as long as you are still unmarried, there is hardly any love out there that surpasses the love of your family. And so I say this to the family members that could possibly have similar situations. Dear parents of this generation, regardless of the pressure that we see, and it seems like children are the ones controlling parents nowadays. But based off of what you know and the love that you have for your kids, stand your grounds. They are naive, and so they do not see past their needs and their interests. But what I would say, and I'll insist on, they would see it now as control. But give it time, they would understand that it was protection based off of the love, the sacrifice, the genuineness that you had for them. So many parents find it difficult to parent nowadays. Why? Because there's everything going on in the media. It's every other person counseling their children. It is the different programs that they are watching and telling themselves that they know, when we know that there's a whole lot ahead of them. Let me attempt a solution while talking to the family. Most likely family members listening to me who have a similar situation like this. In this age and time, and especially the Gen Z generation, and not to talk about the Alpha generation, it looks like they are the know-it-all generation. They are very curious. They want to know things. They want to do things. They would challenge our decisions. They would tell you that they can do better. They feel like what you are trying to do is control. They want to insist on their own path. But then again, as parents, every parent listening to me, heed to the principles that you got from your own parents, or at least from the generation of old. Propose solution to our anonymous amazing contributor. As young as you are, you can seek counseling. And again, I love that you did not make these choices or decisions before running. You came at a nick of time. I commend you for that. And hopefully these few points of mine would help you and give you the clarity that you need as far as this is concerned. I always say that I'm not God. But again, based off of the many exceptional cases that we have had, and given the similarity of your cases with many of your age group, I'd like to think there are some things that are very obvious. One thing I would say, at 22, that's not too young to love. But it's too young enough that every decision that you make today will shape the next decade of your life. If your choice is based on clarity, purpose, and emotional maturity, then stand firm. But if it's based only on the emotions, on the pressure, the fantasies, please slow down. Please do not confuse kindness for compatibility. Just because a man treats you well does not mean that he belongs to your future. I need you to let that sink into you. Just because a man treats you well does not mean he belongs to your future. What is the meaning of treating you well? You should ask yourself these questions, because a lot of women have ended up in lifelong battles because they mistook comfort for calling. Now, being treated well is the bare minimum, because yes, a man is meant to treat you well, but it doesn't just end there. What matters is, can this man walk with you in purpose, maturity, and growth? If not, then it's not love, it's a detour. Now, I'm saying this is not just about the age gap. Make no mistakes, because again, a younger guy can treat you worse. I'm only saying it is about where you are at life. At 22, you're still becoming. He's already become, meaning He's established, he's been there, done all of that, made his errors, live life at his own terms. What are your terms? What is it you want about life? I want you to reflect on these questions and ask yourself questions not based off of what he brings to the table, but what you would present to this table. These self-reflective questions will do you a lot justice than just wondering about what this man is, all of what he represents. It is about you. It is about your life. And like I said, I do not want you to be a spectator and say yes to just about any other thing or decisions that are made by other people except you. It is not about your parents. It is not about this man. It is not even about Mommy Deli. It is about what comes from the inside of you. And if you can possibly answer these questions honestly so, then I can say yes, whatever else comes out of that, you know what it is you're doing because you've made an informed choice and decision. Who are you? Who are you? Take off your father's name. Take off maybe your educational qualifications. Take off what people say about you. Who are you? And this question would lead me to the next, which directly answers the question of purpose. Have you discovered your purpose? And do you truly understand what your purpose and your calling on earth is? I always say this, that marriage is only a tool to fulfill purpose. When you get married, it should propel you towards your purpose, meaning that it should help you become all of what God has called you to be. So when you want to get into such a delicate institution that would potentially affect your purpose, you want to think it properly. What are your educational and career paths? That matters a great deal. You should be asking yourself, have I schooled enough? Do I have a career path that I can fall on or bank on should things go south? Should this man that I'm financially relying on not be there at some point? What do you understand about the implications of having kids? Because it comes with the territory. Think about it. When you get married, you're not just going to get married and sit there. You're going to start having kids. And guess what? Do you understand the implications of having children? At 22, you're already dealing with 2 grown adults. And then the number of children you would be having, it could be triplets at the start. Do you understand? Would you be able to manage that? Do you understand the implication of motherhood? The challenges that come along with it, and having to manage a much older husband who for the most part would be acting as a child because they would need all the pampering, the support, the loving, the cuddling, because of course that is why he got married to somebody much older, to keep him warm. Do you know what marriage is all about? I'm not talking about a wedding. Oh, not talking about wearing a white veil and walking down the aisle. I'm talking about the institution that you're about to get into with some other person whose lifestyle would matter, whose decisions would matter. I'm not talking about something you're getting into it to take short breaks or long breaks. No, I'm talking about a lifelong journey. Do you understand that? How emotionally stable are you? From your age, this should be about your first or one of your first relationships. Your family is clearly against, and should anything go wrong, who do you run to? You should ask yourself that question. Because yes, you need the support. Challenges will come in marriage, and the first people that will hold our hands, regardless of the differences we had prior to weddings and stuff, are family members. Why are you rushing into it? Because clearly it is a rush. I'm not one to say women should get married at 50, 40 and all whatnot. But then again, I'm that person who believes in There are some things life should throw at you for you to build and understand stamina enough to be able to navigate life without needing the support of some other person. And if you have to start off that in marriage, it could be very tricky for you. What do you bring to the table? You said everything about this man. It's all about him. He takes care of you. I didn't hear you talk about his vision, his purpose, and to see where you fit in. Let's say this man has all of it. Do you have the stamina to be his helpmate? Are you sure you can support him? What are you as a woman coming to in the marriage? Just your beautiful self? So because we want to look at this man's own side, but no, as a woman, what are you coming? How much have you saved to say, you know what, if I get into marriage and things go south, I'm able to stand and say I am the helpmeet and this is how much I can support this marriage with? How much of that do you have? What is your own purpose? Does it align with his? Do you see where the compatibility is in vision? These are the questions I said, self-reflective. And if you genuinely answer this question, then I can guarantee you this is possibly your last bus stop. Not just you, every other person listening to you.
All right, let's break down how this solution segment was crafted. Sharp, focused, and full of wisdom. Here are the key insights the host laid out for us. If you find yourself in this situation, choose with clarity, not just out of gratitude or comfort. Understand time, because timing matters more than rushing on emotion. Respect family counsel. Recognize that family sometimes sees what we miss. And remember, true love waits. Marriage is not a quick escape. Each point cuts right to the heart of what real decision-making looks like, not just feeling, but knowing. Now, as the dust settles, the big question remains. Which of these truths will guide her next step? This is Real Talk for Real Life Impact.
All right, you have listened to the attempted solutions that Mommy Deli has given. But like we always do, it is always important for us to get some of these solutions from, again, the Delicious on social media, just so you hear a bit from other people and it does not feel like it is just Mommy Deli telling you what to do. Let's have the views of other persons. And as usual, we have 4 different comments. I'm excited always to read comments from Lovely Delicious. Let's start with the first comment. It's Rosie Powers. Hello, Rosie Powers. That's a powerful Delicious. Rosie goes, 28 years difference. Though lovers will say age is just a number, it depends on what you want. But I'll advise you to listen to your parents. You are still young and have a brighter future ahead. Concentrate on things that matter now and let the uncle find a wife elsewhere. You'll find your own when in due time. More or less what we've said, and I'm happy that Rosie is adding some, spices to this. Thank you so much, Rosie, for that lovely contribution. The next contributor is Gillian Blancard. Interesting name. Hello, Gillian. How are you? Oh, what do you want? She's asking. Age is just a number, as we say, but it plays a great role in our relationships. Different generations have varying reasons, which may cause feuds. I love this. She says different generations they have varied reasoning, meaning that an old school and a Gen Z will see things differently. We did talk about that. The fact that at some point you might be coerced into becoming an old school, act like that, become like that in a certain way, just so that he can match the energy. Or again, it could work the other way, where you start wanting him to wear shorts, sag his pants, just to feel like your age group. You see these things? They do matter. And that's what Gillian is saying. Thank you so much, Gillian, for that interesting one. We have Petra Kiwa. Hello, Petra. How are you? Petra says, what is all the fuss about the age gap? Petra is not having it. Petra is like, you die early, live as long as you care for yourself. That 50-year-old man might live longer than a younger man. My sister, if he will make you happy, why wait? Go for it. Don't listen to advice from a bunch of single people who know nothing about marriage. Woo! Take it easy on us, Petra. It is not like they say, na advice to okay person. There's an interesting thing Petra said that gets me laughing all the time. You see this statement people say, do what makes you happy. That's the reason where a lot of mess, that's why our generation and in this dispensation is in a lot of mess. Because we go for the things that make us happy. There's this adage, a Chinese proverb that says, if God were to give you everything that you ask for, we would all be dead by now. Why? Because the things that we ask, there's some selfish things that would work against us. But because temporarily we see it as happiness, we don't see the impending danger. So when you make statements like, go for what makes you happy, it might just be the end that you're calling to come sooner than you think. So again, we appreciate your contributions and she's listening. And if that's what she would go by it, there's no stopping her. So let's look at the next. Was that it? I think, no, we have one last commenter. Last commenter, Nancy Muge. Nancy Muge says, the age difference is too much. Plus, your parents are wiser than they portray. I love this. They may be more to your father's reasoning than just age and tribe. Marry your friend, not your boss or your father. You are just 22. Concentrate on developing yourself. Enough said. I particularly love these lines. Your parents are wiser than they portray. You know, sometimes it feels like they act like they don't see it, but they see it. And when you think you are deceiving them, they have seen all of it. Because they've been there, done that. And that's what Nancy is saying. That sometimes you don't necessarily see what it is they're saying. And they do not necessarily come across as being all of that. But there's a whole lot of wisdom embedded in their silence. Thank you so much, my delicious, powerful contributions there. It was interesting and just about time for us to take our nuggets for the day. I always love the nuggets and I hope you too like it. When we come back, don't touch that dial.
With MoneyFX, sending money home just got faster. Enjoy top exchange rates, low fees, and transfers that land in under 10 minutes. Whether it's school fees in Cameroon, hospital bills in Nigeria, or family support in Ghana, MoneyFX makes every transfer count. MoneyFX, fast money transfer when it matters most.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have come to the last and final part of our show where we get to talk to the youths, and the youths having these nuggets just so that you can have these motivational moments to navigate through life, just so that you do not get into some of these exceptional cases. And if you do or find yourself in similar, you would know how to navigate through it. So the first thing I would always say to the youths, purpose, purpose, purpose. Purpose is of the essence. Purpose will shortlist a lot for you. There's a lot you will not get into. Why? Because purpose is around. And I always say, for you to discover your purpose, you would have to be intentional about it. There's this book about I do, I don't, journeying into matrimony, which I talked about discovering your purpose and finding why you came on earth, why you are here. Again, like I always say, purpose should precede marriage. When you find your purpose, live for purpose, you would get some other person who would come and complement that purpose with you while you complement theirs. So again, purpose, purpose, purpose. The next thing I'll tell you is life is in stages. Do not skip it. Look at what you are, where you are. Enjoy the moment. Live the reality. Do not run ahead of your shadow. You know what they say. Why? Because there are things that are peculiar to that age, and if you miss out on them, you would want to catch up, and sometimes you do not even have the opportunity. Take, for instance, education. There is time for you to study. I'm talking about schooling, not just being educated. Once that time is missed, it is hard for you as an adult to get back into maybe primary or secondary school, even university. So when you have the time, make use of it. Like they say, make hay while the sun shines. Again, listen to those who are ahead of you, especially those who have your interests at heart. There are predecessors, there are people who have charted the same path that you intend to go through. And so when you look at where they faltered, look at their errors, you want to make more informed choices. So the essence of experiences is not just so that you repeat them, it is for you to avoid them. And so when you look at people who are ahead of you and they talk to you, please heed to their counsel. Gain value. I already talked about education. Education is of the essence, and when it is most right and appropriate for you to have it. But then again, career paths. It's just so that you do not see marriage as a financial plan for your future. Just so you don't see it as an escape route out of poverty. Gain value. Get a job. As small as it is, as meager as the salary is, like I always say, there is pride in labor. Again, understand who you truly are and make sure you have dated yourself well enough. And when I talk about dating yourself, you see how it's easy to go out on a date with a man takes you out, a woman takes you out, buy you goodies, get to chat, try to communicate. It starts with you doing those things for yourself. Understanding who you are. Dating yourself would even imply understanding your purpose, knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, understanding who you are, falling in love with yourself. What we talk about self-love, because until you have that, can you properly love another person? So when we talk about understanding who you truly are, it is about you knowing yourself in the tripartite nature that God has made you. Meaning you understand yourself spiritually, you understand yourself mentally, and you understand yourself physically. Let me say this. Many of the things you seek will come naturally and they will fall in place. Sometimes we are in a hurry because we want to, again, run faster than our shadows. Sometimes we want to compete. It's a lot of competition. And I always say competition is a thief of joy. Because when you compete with people, you don't run their lanes, you do not follow their paths, you don't face their challenges, you're not exposed to their resources. And so when you start competing, frustration sets in. You have a path, follow it. And with God on your side, you would make it. That's where we come to the end of our show, and to the young woman who brought in her case, and to every youngster or everybody listening and watching at this moment. This moment doesn't need your quick yes, it needs your clear head. So that was it. We've come to the end of our show. It was an interesting one, and I hope that this is certainly the last bus stop for the many of you who have watched this episode. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we come to the end of our show, and I'm happy that you watched up to this level, and I'm hoping that you learned a thing or two. This is Hello Delhi, where love meets reflection and silence meets truth. Until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, and stay real. God bless.
Hello.